Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. Imagine giving your heart, your soul, and nearly a decade of your life to one place, only to feel abandoned when you needed them most. Imagine lying in a hospital bed, hooked up to oxygen, while the people who should be fighting for you are halfway across the world enjoying ski trips. Now imagine finding the strength to stand up, not quietly, but with a voice so unshakable that it shakes an entire industry. This is Zhao Lusi's moment. Zhao Lusi isn't just another actress. To millions across Asia and beyond, she's a symbol of joy, her bright smile, her relatable charm, her talent that lights up every role she takes. But behind the curtain of fame, a far darker story has been unfolding. For months, maybe even years, tensions between Zhao and her agency have been quietly simmering. And now they've boiled over for the whole world to see. This isn't a subtle hint dropped in an interview. This is a direct, fearless declaration on a public stage. In her own words, she accuses her agency of turning their backs on her, of failing to show even the smallest gesture of care, and most shocking of all, of preparing to fight her in court by secretly gathering evidence against her. But here's what makes this different from every other celebrity dispute you've heard before. Zhao Lusi isn't hiding behind vague statements or carefully worded press releases. She's calling names. She's exposing details. She's making it personal. And as you listen to her story, you'll realize this isn't just a fight about contracts. It's a fight about dignity, about freedom, and about the courage it takes to walk away when the world expects you to stay. Zhao Lusi's story begins not in the glitter of red carpets, but in the quiet, unseen spaces where loyalty and hard work live. For nearly a decade, she devoted herself to her craft and to the agency that managed her career. She brought them prestige, revenue, and a growing international fan base. Her dedication was not measured in weeks or months. It was measured in years of her youth, spent working tirelessly on film sets, enduring exhausting schedules, and pushing herself to deliver the best performances she could. But when the time came that she needed her agency the most, she says they were nowhere to be found. In her own words, she describes moments of genuine vulnerability, nights when her body was weakened from relentless stress, days when breathing required the assistance of oxygen, weeks marked by medication and hospital visits. These were not the glamorous snapshots her fans are used to seeing. These were the raw, unfiltered realities of someone giving more than they could afford to give. It was in these moments, she claims, that her agency's silence became deafening. There were no calls to check in, no gestures of care, no signs of solidarity from the very people entrusted with her professional and personal well-being. What made the silence worse, she alleges, was the revelation that behind the scenes, the agency had begun preparing for conflict. Rather than addressing her concerns, she says they hired lawyers to quietly collect evidence against her. It was not just neglect. It was an act that, in her eyes, crossed the line into betrayal. This was the breaking point, the moment when years of loyalty felt wasted, when the trust that once bound them together dissolved into suspicion and resentment. For Zhao Lusi, this was no longer about small disagreements or differences in vision. It became a fight for dignity, a stand against being treated as disposable after nearly 10 years of service. It was in this moment she decided she could not, and would not, remain silent any longer. When Zhao Lusi finally chose to speak, she did not tiptoe around the truth. Her words were not wrapped in diplomatic caution or softened to protect reputations. They came out clear, sharp, and unapologetically direct, as though years of silence had built a pressure that could no longer be contained. She did not hide behind vague accusations. She called names, recounted incidents, and laid out her grievances with the precision of someone who has lived through each wound and memorized every scar. This was not the voice of a celebrity carefully curating her image. This was the voice of a woman who had decided that telling her truth was worth whatever it might cost. She spoke of executives who, in her view, enjoyed the luxury of leisure while she battled for her health. She described in detail how, while she was enduring medication, oxygen support, And the weight of exhaustion, key figures in the company were skiing in Hokkaido. It was more than an image of physical absence. It was a symbol of emotional abandonment, a stark reminder of how alone she had felt in her most fragile moments. Her words painted not just a narrative of neglect, but of deliberate disregard, as though her struggles were an inconvenience rather than a call for compassion. Equally striking were her allegations of false narratives, stories she says were crafted to tarnish her reputation, to frame her as someone feigning illness for personal gain. To her, this was not merely professional sabotage. It was an assault on her integrity, her character, and the trust she had built with her audience. Every sentence she delivered carried the weight of a person who had been forced into a corner and decided to push back with everything she had. What made her statement resonate was not only its content but its courage. Zhao Lusi spoke in a tone that was both personal and defiant, a blend of vulnerability and strength. She knew the risks, lawsuits, industry backlash, the potential freezing of opportunities, and yet she pressed forward. In doing so, she transformed from an actress in conflict into a figure of resilience, a reminder that sometimes the most unfiltered voice is the one that has been silenced for far too long. Beyond the immediate headlines and the flurry of online reactions, Zhao Lusi's confrontation with her agency holds a meaning that stretches far past a single dispute. On the surface, it is the story of an actress clashing with the company that managed her career for nearly a decade. But beneath that, it speaks to something far more universal: the right to reclaim one's voice, one's time, and one's future after years of feeling bound by obligations that no longer serve you. In the wake of her statement, the internet did what it always does. Hashtags surged, comment sections swelled with opinions, and media outlets rushed to dissect every line she had spoken. Yet, among the noise, there emerged a current of empathy that was not confined to her fan base. People from all walks of life saw pieces of their own struggles reflected in her words. The late nights at a job that undervalues you, the sacrifices unnoticed by those who benefit most, the quiet pain of being treated as replaceable. Zhao's battle may be set against the backdrop of China's entertainment industry, but its resonance reaches across borders and professions. Her defiance has also opened a broader conversation within the industry. In a landscape where power often tilts heavily towards agencies and production companies, her willingness to challenge her contracts so publicly forces attention onto issues that are typically hidden from view. Legal analysts are already debating whether her case could set a precedent for more equitable artist agreements. Younger actors and trainees, often entering the business with little leverage, may see her as proof that walking away is possible, even if the road ahead is uncertain. For Zhao, however, the fight seems deeply personal. She has made it clear that she is not simply seeking a settlement or an easier workload. She is seeking freedom from a relationship she believes has long since stopped being fair. 10 years is a long time in anyone's life, but in an entertainment career, it can mean the difference between rising opportunity and fading relevance. By choosing to leave now, she is not only protecting her own future, but also refusing to let her past define the limits of what she can achieve. There is a certain courage in facing legal battles that may drag on for years, perhaps even into her later life. It is a commitment to endure uncertainty for the sake of principle. And in that courage lies the heart of why her story has captured so much attention. Because it is not merely about a celebrity fighting a company, but about a human being refusing to be silent when silence has become unbearable. In the end, the headlines will fade, replaced by the next scandal or the next star to rise. But for those who have been watching closely, Zhao Lusi's stand may remain as a quiet but enduring reminder that dignity, once fought for, can never truly be taken away. And so, as Zhao Lusi's story continues to unfold, we find ourselves standing at the edge of something much larger than a celebrity dispute. This is a moment that speaks to the strength it takes to walk away, to stand alone, and to demand the respect you deserve. It is a reminder that no matter where you live, no matter your career or your circumstances, the right to be treated with dignity is not something you have to earn. It is something you already own. What happens next for Zhao Lusi is still uncertain. The legal process may be long, the public conversation may shift, and the challenges ahead may be daunting. But what is certain is that her voice has already made an impact. It has sparked discussions, inspired support, and given people the courage to reflect on their own boundaries and self-worth. If you've connected with this story, If it has made you think about your own life or simply opened your eyes to the realities behind the glamour of the entertainment world, then I invite you to stay with us on this journey. We will continue to bring you in-depth stories, thoughtful analysis, and powerful moments from the lives of Asia's most talked about stars, stories that go beyond the headlines and into the heart of what truly matters. Your support means everything. By subscribing to this channel, you're not just watching, you're joining a community of people who value truth, insight, and meaningful conversation. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll never miss an update. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for sharing in these stories with us. The journey is just beginning, and we're glad you're part of it.